Welcome to the deep dive. You send us your sources, we dig in and pull out the key stuff, the insights that hopefully make you feel quickly up to speed. Today we're looking at the essential explanation of the Amitabha Sutra. This is by Master Wu Yi, with commentary from Dharma Master Ching Kung.
That's right.
Think of this as our attempt to make some pretty profound Buddhist wisdom a bit more accessible.
Exactly. Our aim is to get to the heart, the essence of it. Master Wu Yi, well, the story goes he wrote the core text in just 9 days, which is incredible.
9 days, wow.
Yeah, but really digging into it, that could take, months, maybe more. So we're focusing on clarity, pulling out the key understandings for you.
And it feels pretty timely, actually. One thing that came up in the source material is this modern concern about
counterfeit Buddhism, yeah?
Right, counterfeit Buddhism. With so much information out there, knowing what's genuine seems, crucial. Understanding these core ideas feels like a good tool for that.
Absolutely. Discernment is key.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. What is Buddhism, fundamentally? And what's Dharma?
Good place to start. So Buddha, the word itself, it comes from Sanskrit, Buddha. It means essentially wisdom and awakening.
Wisdom and awakening.
And interestingly, the early translators, they had so much respect, they often kept the original sound Buddhaya rather than translating it directly. It was a sign of reverence. So a Buddha is someone who's achieved this profound wisdom. They're fully awakened.
And Dharma, that word comes up constantly.
Right. Dharma is, well, it's a huge concept. It basically covers everything, all phenomena, all principles, the way things are, both, the physical stuff and the underlying truths. It's what a Buddha awakens to.
The object of awakening.
Precisely. And here's a key point, something that might be a bit different from, say, typical Western thought. Buddhism teaches that the Buddha, the subject, the one awakening, and the Dharma, the object, what's realized, are ultimately one, fundamentally interconnected, not separate. This really sets it apart from philosophical traditions that maintain a strict subject-object split. And it's also distinct from how Buddhism views religion generally, which falls under doctrines and specific practices.
So it's less about a separate me getting enlightened and more about realizing this underlying unity.
You've got it. That's a really core idea. Now, thinking about why someone would study Buddhism, the source contrasts, everyday hopes.
Like getting a better job, making more money, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Or just wanting protection, feeling safe. Contrast those with the real aim, which is summed up as ningzi.
Okay, break that down for us.
It means breaking through delusion, achieving enlightenment, and this is key liberating ourselves from suffering. It's a much, much deeper goal than just worldly success.
Yeah, sounds it.
Definitely. The ultimate goal has this very specific Sanskrit name. That's
a mouthful.
It is. But it translates beautifully as unexcelled, complete, perfect enlightenment. Or, in more modern terms, you could say ultimate and perfect wisdom.
So the focus is really on wisdom.
Absolutely. It's the pursuit of wisdom, not just, blind faith. Wisdom is what actually solves problems. It leads to understanding the truth of the universe, the truth of life. That process is described in stages. Initial awakening, then profound awakening, and finally, seeing one's true nature.
Okay, this ultimate wisdom, where does it come from? Do we have to, go out and find it somewhere?
Well, this is maybe the most profound part. This ultimate wisdom, it isn't external. The Buddha taught it's jiminda.
Yeah,
meaning it's inherently possessed. It's already inside all sentient beings. And that's a broad category, not just humans.
Wait, if we already have this perfect wisdom, why isn't everyone enlightened? What's blocking it?
Yes. The big question. The Flower Adornment Sutra has this famous line. Chija. Okay.
Translation.
It means something like, all sentient beings already possess the wisdom and virtuous qualities of a Buddha, but because of deluded thoughts and hood attachments, they just can't realize it.
Deluded thoughts and attachments.
Exactly. Those are the culprits. Deluded thoughts, the qin, create what are called obstacles to knowledge, and attachments, they create afflictions or emotional disturbances.
Like clouds covering the sun?
That's a perfect analogy. They obscure our inherent wisdom. So the practice is about clearing away these clouds. When you remove them, the wisdom naturally shines through. That's why it said A.
Which means?
Perfect Buddhi, or enlightenment, ultimately returns to having obtained nothing. Because, you see, it was always there to begin with. You didn't gain something new, you just uncovered what was innate.
Okay, so the practice is about clearing these clouds. How do we actually do that day to day? Is it just sitting and meditating for hours?
Meditation is important, for sure, but the Buddha emphasized guanzhao. Think of it as contemplation or mindful reflection, but applied to everything.
Everything, like washing dishes.
Absolutely. Getting dressed, eating, working, talking to people, bringing awareness that you've prajna wisdom into every single moment. That's the practical application. The Buddha and his disciples, they lived this way. Constant mindful awareness.
A continuous state of presence. Now, the sources also mentioned the Bodhisattva path and Bodhisattva conduct. How do they fit in?
Right, those are sort of the two wings of the practice. The Bodhisattva path, Pus Tu Dao, is about maintaining Wu awareness without delusion, keeping that awakened mind steady in all circumstances, good or bad.
And Bodhisattva conduct.
Busas, that's the outward expression, acting correctly, skillfully, without error in all our interactions. It's living out that inner awareness.
And underpinning all of this, there's the idea of the three refuges.
Precisely. The Sanghi, taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha, this is the absolute foundation. It's the core commitment for anyone walking this path, like aligning yourself with these guiding principles.
Okay, let's unpack those. Refuge in the Buddha, what does that mean practically?
Taking refuge in the Buddha means striving for awareness without delusion. It's about cultivating that awakened quality in yourself and recognizing it as the goal.
And refuge in the Dharma.
That's seeking right knowledge and right views. Aligning your understanding with reality, with the Buddha's insights. It's about learning the principles and applying them, sometimes called nubiri, entering the Buddha's knowledge and views.
Makes sense. And Samma.
Refuge in the Sangha points towards purity without defilement, specifically keeping our six senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mind pure, uncontaminated by negativity, cultivating inner purity.
So these three: awareness, right views, purity.
Exactly. Zhu Zhongjing. Many practitioners actually repeat the refuge vows daily as a constant reminder. The whole point is to cultivate these qualities, awareness, rightness, purity, to counteract their opposites.
Delusion, wrongness, and defilement.
Which are what keep us stuck in the cycle of rebirth.
That's the idea. Stuck in the 6 realms of rebirth. Cultivating yi is the way out.
Okay, that provides a really solid framework. Now let's zoom in on the Amitabha Sutra itself. The sources mention its original title was quite long and descriptive.
Yes, that's right. The original title, reflected in some translations like Master Xuanzang's, is Yu Yo-e.
Whoa, let's break that down.
Okay. It means something like Sutra on the praise of inconceivable merit and virtue and the protection by all Buddhas.
Praise, inconceivable merit and virtue, protection by Buddhas. Yeah, so it highlights that this sutra describes merit and virtue that's beyond our ordinary comprehension, truly inconceivable, and this is something that is praised by all the Buddhas.
Okay, what is this inconceivable merit and virtue? What makes it so special according to the commentary?
Well, the commentary defines the two parts. Gong, the merit, is achieved through
Ziqiming Hao Vi Xin Buluan,
meaning wholeheartedly upholding the name, specifically the name of Amitabha Buddha, with a focused, undistracted, unified mind. That's the merit part.
Okay, holding the name, and the virtue.
The virtue is Dai Wang Sheng, Dun Cha Yuan Jing. This is pretty radical. It means being reborn in the Pure Land with your existing karmic baggage, your karmic debts.
You take it with you.
You take it with you. And upon arrival, you instantly transcend and attain perfect realization.
Instantly. That sounds, well, inconceivable, like the title says.
Exactly. Think about it. Most paths emphasize clearing away all negative karma, purifying yourself completely before liberation. This is saying through Amitabha's power and vows, you can essentially arrive as is and still reach that ultimate state almost immediately. It's why it's considered so extraordinary, something only Buddhas can fully grasp and praise.
Why is that taking your karma with you part such a big deal?
Because, as the text strongly emphasizes, breaking free from the offy 6 realms of rebirth is incredibly difficult, just incredibly hard.
Right.
Countless Buddhas have taught ways to escape, but the commentary points out, our ingrained habits, our conditioning, it's just too deep, too powerful. There's really no way for most beings to completely sever these habits on their own power.
Things like?
Well, the text mentions the Udo again, the 5 deep roots of suffering, attachment to wealth, sex, fame, food, and sleep. Plus the classic, Samdu, the 3 poisons, greed, anger, and ignorance.
The big 3.
Yeah. Combine those deep-seated tendencies with all the external temptations. It's like swimming against a massive current. So genuine awakening, really seeing the danger of this cycle and wanting out, is actually quite rare.
It sounds like climbing Mount Everest without oxygen, the traditional way.
That's a good way to put it. Very steep, very challenging. Which is why the commentary stresses the constant exposure to the Dharma, the teachings, is so vital, day after day, without break.
Like soaking in it.
Exactly. In the past, disciples would stay with their teacher constantly. Today, maybe we use technology, but the principle is the same. Regular immersion. The text suggests that consistently really listening deeply to one particular sutra can lead you into samadhi, deep concentration.
And concentration leads to?
Peiwu enlightenment. Oh, wisdom arises from samadhi, from that focused stillness. There's that old saying, oh. Read a book 1,000 times, and its meaning reveals itself. Right. Deep, focused repetition brings understanding. But the Pure Land school offers this very direct shortcut.
Which is?
Wholeheartedly upholding the name of Amitabha Buddha. Just focus on that name. Bodhisattva Mahastamaprapta, who represents wisdom in this tradition, summed it up.
Okay, what's that mean?
Gather in the 6 senses. Don't let them scatter outwards. Let pure mindfulness of Amitabha continue unbroken. Don't rely on other complex techniques. And naturally, your mind will open. Enlightenment will arise by itself.
Wow. That sounds very streamlined.
It is. It's presented as the most direct and accessible path, especially for beings in our current age.
Now let's talk about Amitabha Buddha and the Western Pure Land. This is central. How should we approach Amitabha?
Great question. When thinking about the Western Trinity Amitabha and the 2 bodhisattvas Avalokiteshvara or Guanyin and Mahastamaprapta, the source is clear. See them as Laoshi, teachers, guides, not as Shenming, deities you just pray to for favors in the conventional religious sense. Amitabha is our Binshi, our fundamental teacher on this specific path, the guide to the Western Pure Land. Shakyamuni Buddha himself, the historical Buddha, pointed us towards Amitabha.
And the 2 bodhisattvas flanking him, Guanyin and Mahastamaprapta.
Right. Avalokiteshvara, Guanyin, embodies vast compassion, the active desire to relieve suffering. Mahastamaprapta, as we mentioned, represents supreme wisdom, and his wisdom is shown in choosing this very method. He sees that as the wisest, most effective practice.
So compassion and wisdom.
Exactly. Guanyin's compassion urges everyone towards this practice because it guarantees liberation in this lifetime. That's the compassionate aspect. And the virtue or benefit, again, is that going to the Pure Land with your karma intact.
Made possible by Amitabha's vows.
Yes, his 48 incredible vows. This is revolutionary, inconceivable in many other traditions that demand you purify everything first. And crucially, rebirth there is described as Aji, you go while alive, fully conscious. It's not like ordinary death and then maybe rebirth. It's a conscious transition.
A conscious transition while alive. That is different. What about the last part of that original title, protection by all Buddhas?
Right. Ooh, protection here means the Buddha's actively guiding others towards this path because it's so effective. And Shunyan, mindfulness or protection, also refers to our own self-cultivation, being mindful of this path, because this method ensures you reach unsurpassed bodhi, ultimate enlightenment in one single lifetime. It offers true freedom from the cycle, no more death in that ultimate spiritual sense.
Now, the title most people know is Master Kumararjiva's translation.
Yeah.
The Buddha speaks of the Amitabha Sutra.
Yes, a much more concise title. And the commentary points out how powerful it is. It directly points to the core, Amitabha, and the practice. Reciting his name?
And the Foshuo, spoken by the Buddha part, is significant too.
Hugely significant. It means Shakyamuni Buddha taught this himself, and apparently he did so with great joy, Changya Ben Huai. Why? Because this teaching offers everyone the chance for becoming a Buddha in just one lifetime, not just escaping the lower realms, but full Buddhahood.
That's quite a promise.
It is, and Ainhitu, Amitabha's name, literally means ach wu liang, immeasurable. Immeasurable light, immeasurable life, but fundamentally immeasurable awakening, acha wu liang ju. And that immeasurable awakening naturally includes those three qualities we talked about. Ache, awareness, rightness, purity.
Okay. And the word Jing Sutra.
Briefly, it means the teaching is Fuikichi. It accords perfectly with ultimate truth, and it's perfectly suited to the capacity of the listeners, especially us now. It also carries 4 classic meanings. Ekwin, it threads together key principles. It gathers or encompasses essential practices. Ekwin, its truth is constant and unchanging. And Fa, it's a model or standard to follow, like a perfect blueprint.
Got it. The source then talks about the Eki, Kiksinti, the foundational basis. What's that referring to?
It's explaining that all Mahayana sutras like this one are ultimately based on Ik Sinyang, ultimate reality, the true nature of things. Different sutras might use different words for it. Like the Flower Adornment Sutra uses Eki Ijin Faji. The Surangama Sutra uses Ik Lulais. But they're all pointing to the same fundamental truth of reality.
How can we grasp that reality? It sounds pretty abstract.
It is hard from our ordinary perspective. The commentary uses an analogy of dimensions. Like a 2D being can't really conceive of 3D space. Our current perception, limited by delusion and attachment, prevents us from directly experiencing higher realities, like the 10 Dharma realms, or even the Oyo 6 realms of rebirth in their true nature.
Delusion and attachment create the walls of our perceived dimension.
Exactly. Buddhist practice, especially developing Dingang, meditative concentration, is presented as the way to break through these limitations. It offers a way to perceive reality more directly, beyond what purely intellectual or scientific methods can reach.
And there's that story about Master Zia.
Yes, a fantastic illustration. Master Z, a great historical master, entered a deep samadhi state, and while in that meditation, he actually heard the Lotus Sutra being preached, as if he were present on Vulture Peak with the Buddha, transcending time and space. It shows the power of meditative attainment to access deeper layers of reality. Understanding these truths, seeing reality as it is what leads to Zen, liberation, and true freedom. It's the opposite of being trapped and constrained by the cycle of rebirth.
Okay, this brings us to the real core of the practice according to this sutra. Faith, vow, and practice. Let's start with faith. Seems like there are multiple layers to it.
Indeed. The commentary breaks down beautifully into 5 key aspects. First, faith in oneself.
Faith in myself. How so?
Believing in your own inherent Buddha nature. Deep down, your potential for enlightenment is exactly the same as any Buddha's. All beings are fundamentally already Buddhas. This isn't arrogance, it's recognizing your true potential. And it helps avoid self-pity, too. Your current confusion, is temporary. It doesn't have a solid, permanent basis.
Okay, believe in my potential. What's next?
Second, faith in the Buddha or faith in others. This means trusting Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings, what he taught is true, and the path works. And specifically here, trusting Amitabha Buddha, his vows are real, his Pure Land exists. It also means trusting that all Buddhas recommend this path. There's a line, the reason all Buddhas appear in the world is ultimately to reveal Amitabha's ocean of vows.
So it's got universal endorsement, basically.
That's the idea. Third, faith in cause and effect. Believing that actions have consequences. Good deeds bring good results. Bad deeds bring bad results. Simple, but profound.
And specifically for this practice.
Specifically believing that Ojin reciting or being mindful of the Buddha's name is the true cause, and attaining Buddhahood is the realized effect. It's a direct causal link. And Ojin, mindfulness, isn't just saying the name, it's Orjin Jinsin, having the Buddha present in your heart, in your mind now.
Our thoughts create our reality.
Exactly. But all phenomena arise from the mind's thoughts. A lonely mind manifests, only consciousness transforms it. So you absolutely must cultivate good thoughts, thoughts aimed at benefiting others, and let go of bad thoughts, the self-centered ones.
Makes sense. What are the last 2 aspects of faith?
Fourth is faith in phenomena, or faith in the facts. understanding the reality of the Western Pure Land. It's described as a real, stable place, arising from Amitabha's pure nature, unlike our world, which is shaped by fluctuating collective karma and is inherently impermanent.
So believing the Pure Land is objectively real.
Yes. And fifth, faith in principle. Grasping the underlying truths, the principles of how reality works. This understanding brings inner peace, mental stability. When you understand the principles like impermanence and cause and effect, you can navigate life, the ups and the downs, with more wisdom and less disturbance. The text actually suggests reading Liao Fan's 4 lessons to really get a handle on cause and effect in daily life.
Okay, that covers faith. The second tenet is Wan, vow. What's the vow here?
The vow is the sincere, powerful aspiration, the deep wish to leave this world, the Saha world, with all its suffering, and to be reborn in Amitabha's Pure Land. To go there, be near Amitabha, learn directly from him. It's a focused intention.
A clear destination in mind.
Exactly. And finally, a lexing practice. What does the practice actually involve?
This must be the upholding the name part again.
Primarily, yes. Wholeheartedly upholding Amitabha's name. Keeping Amitabha in your heart and mind as much as possible, ideally continuously. But importantly, while doing this inwardly, outwardly, you just live your life. Saimum. Saimianabupanmyam.
Meaning?
Respond to conditions as they arise. Do what needs to be done, but without grasping, without forcing things, without generating new attachments or aversions. There's even a nice little story mentioned about some immigrants from Taiwan and Australia who wanted to start a Pure Land learning center, maybe even an Amitabha village. It shows that deep desire to make the practice central to life.
So faith, vow, and faith. Practice the 3 legs of the stool for this path. What are the results, the benefits? The Busho.
The core benefit is summed up beautifully. Wangshen Wei Gong, Butui Wei De.
Okay.
Rebirth in the Pure Land is the merit you achieve through the practice, and non-retrogression is the virtue.
Non-retrogression, meaning you don't slide back.
Exactly. Rebirth there is like, well, the source uses the analogy of immigration. You move to a place where suffering and backsliding simply don't happen. It's guaranteed if you have genuine faith, vow, and practice. And the absolute killer benefit of the Pure Land is you will never regress on the spiritual path once you're there.
That's huge.
It's massive. It means incredibly rapid progress towards Buddhahood achieved in just one lifetime there. It's also a realm of perfect equality. Because of Amitabha's vows and compassionate power, everyone there has a similar golden appearance, free from the hierarchies and limitations we experience here. The 48 vows ensure this equality.
And there was a point about the way we practice the power of the mind.
Yes, very important. The commentary really stresses that Sainian thought recitation, mindful contemplation of the Buddha is far more powerful than just saying the name out loud without presence.
Mind over mouth.
You could say that. Sincerely thinking of the Buddha, holding that image and aspiration in your mind, actually transforms your being. Siang Suisin Suan. Your appearance, your state, follows your mind. There's another inspiring story shared about a practitioner who dedicated themselves to Dharma work in mainland China, and people noticed profound positive changes in their appearance and energy just from that focused, dedicated practice. It shows the tangible power of the mind.
This really has been an illuminating look into the Amitabha Sutra. As we wrap up, what are the absolute key takeaways you want listeners to remember from this deep dive?
Well, I think it comes down to a few core things. First, that incredible potential, that wisdom is already within us. Second, what obscures it are these habits of mind, delusion, and attachment. Third, the 3 refuges, awareness, right view, purity, offer a guiding framework.
Right.
And finally, the unique promise of this Pure Land path, centered on Amitabha. It offers a direct route through faith in ourselves, faith in the Buddhas, faith in cause and effect, a sincere vow for rebirth there, and the focused practice of holding Amitabha's name in our hearts and minds.
It definitely paints a picture of liberation, even full awakening, being achievable perhaps more accessibly than we might think.
It does. It presents it as a real possibility within this lifetime. And maybe a final thought to leave you with is this. If consistent, sincere practice of this method really can lead to non-retrogression, to guaranteed progress towards Buddhahood, what could be possible if you truly dedicated yourself to this path? What might open up?